Good morning, everybody. We're going to reconvene the Monterey County Board of Supervisors on our public agenda items. Let the record reflect that all members of the board are present, either in room or via Zoom. At this point, I'm going to ask our CAO to lead us in the pledge. Can we get the announcement of the interpreter, please?
Buenos días, soy Jocelyn Martínez, hoy seré la intérprete y tenemos interpretación en español vía Zoom.
All right. Do we have any additions or corrections to this particular calendar, Madam Clerk?
We do have one correction to the appointments, and item number 3 was removed from the Monterey County Board of Supervisors agenda.
Thank you. All right. No vote needed on that item as it was pulled before the meeting started. We're going to head into our ceremonial resolutions. We have one on today's calendar. I'm going to go ahead and see if we have any public comment on this particular resolution first. I ask members of the public to raise their hand if they have comment. We use the raise hand function or *9 via Zoom to be recognized. Seeing no hands going up, I'm going to bring it back to the board.
And move the resolutions for approval.
I have a motion
Second.
from Supervisor Alejo and a second from Supervisor Parker. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor Alejo?
Aye.
Supervisor Phillips?
Aye.
Supervisor Parker?
Aye.
Supervisor Adams?
Aye.
And Chair Supervisor Lopez.
Aye, the motion carries unanimously. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Supervisor Alejo to present this resolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And today, it is our honor, and I know it's equally so for all our my colleagues on this Board of Supervisors, to take a moment to recognize the work and accomplishments of State Senator and our Senate Majority Leader Emeritus, and also my first seatmate on the floor of the State Assembly, Bill Monning. He's not only an exemplary legislator and a champion for the people of Monterey County, but he's also well known for his strong advocacy for public health, the environment, labor rights, civil rights, and certainly safe and clean drinking water for every Californian. Today, we wanted to take a moment to reflect and thank you for not only your 12 years in the legislature, Senator Monning, but also your lifetime of service and commitment to social justice. Some people know Bill as a state legislator, but long before he was a legislator, even as a very young man, he started out advocating for poor people, farm workers, and social and economic justice for all Americans. He started out in law school working for the United Farm Workers, and shortly thereafter, he joined as an attorney for Cesar Chavez and the farm workers' rights movement. After that, he went on to continue his advocacy for farm workers as a direct attorney for California Rural Legal Assistance, the Migrant Farm Worker Project, where he championed for the rights of those who harvest our crops here on the Central Coast. He also was executive director of numerous different organizations, but including the award-winning International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War. He also was a professor at the Monterey Institute of International Studies, now known as the Middlebury Institute of International Studies, and also Monterey College of Law, and also did a lot of work on the international level as the former president and co-founder of Global Majority. Today, I'm going to read a little bit of his resolution, a lot to mention on his record of service in Sacramento, but it also was incumbent upon me to also not to mention Senator Monning's better half, Dr. Dana Kent, one of our very own doctors at Natividad Hospital. And everyone who knows, who's been in politics, knows you cannot do it alone without the support of your family, with all the time that you spend away from home. So today, on this resolution that we just finished approving, Senator Monning, I'm going to read parts of it quickly. It says, the resolution recognizing William W. Monning, California State Senate Majority Leader Emeritus, for his many years of public service. Senator Monning was born on April 2nd, 1951 in Culver City, California, and currently resides in Carmel, California with his family. He received his BA from the University of California at Berkeley, go Bears, and a law degree from the University of San Francisco School of Law. He and his wife, Dana Ken, and family physician, and have 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren. Senator Monty was elected on November 2012 and reelected in 2016, representing the 17th district, which includes San Luis Obispo, Santa Cruz, and portions of Monterey and Santa Clara County. Prior to that, he was represented the 27th Assembly District from 2008 to 2012, including portions again of Monterey, Santa Cruz, and Santa Clara counties. In his role as a majority leader, which was the first from the Central Coast since the late Senator Henry J. Mello, Senator Monty advocated and ensured the passage of Senate Bill 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act, which invests $5.4 billion annually to fix roads, freeways, and bridges in communities across California. He also authored Senate Bill 1231, the successful legislation sponsored by the Transport Agency of Monterey County this year, which allows the Department of Fish and Wildlife to issue an incidental permit for the purpose of completing critical public safety improvements along State Route 156 in Monterey County, Castroville. Senator Monty's economic investments secured during his tenure from 2009 to 2019 totaled $723 million, with an exceptional legislative accomplishments. Some of those include bills on safe drinking water, $17 million for the Interlake Tunnel Project, the children's menus, healthful default beverages, the End of Life Option Act, the Sea Otter Research and Protection Fund, Diablo Canyon closure mitigation impacts, the sexual harassment prevention training for agricultural workers, $1.5 million for the Central Coast Veterans Cemetery, the San Clemente dam removal, and the sustainable seafood label that you see now in many good restaurants across California, all just a few of Senator Monty's accomplishments. After 12 years of outstanding public service to the people of Monterey County and the state of California and the state legislature, Senator Monty retired, sadly, on November 30th, 2020, with an exceptional record of advocacy and accomplishments for our local communities and families. And therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors, on behalf of our county and all its residents, hereby congratulate Senator William W. Monty for his many years of outstanding service. We wish him a happy and fulfilling future upon his retirement from service to the people of Monterey County and the state of California. And Bill, this is an end of one journey, but as all good fellow travelers know, we know that the next journey of public service is just around the corner for you. And we want to just salute, take our hat off to you, to thank you sincerely for being a true champion for all of us and really working with us as a board to make good legislation and good budgetary victories happen for all of us here in Monterey County. So with that, I would love to open it and pass it to some of my colleagues that want to say a few words, and then we'll give you a shot to respond. Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'm going to go to Supervisor Phillips next.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you for bringing this forward. But Bill, I too want to extend our appreciation for all work you've done. You represented us well, and the most recent one was you pulled the problem out of the fire here on the Castroville interchange in 156, and that was critical. And you got it done on a year when they weren't passing very much. So, like I said at Tamsey, though, I think we ought to emphasize a little bit of all that you've done in the community, especially for the disenfranchised before this, and all the work you've done at the law school. But the mediation process and things that you set up, it's a much better way to resolve disputes than through litigation, and I really appreciate. The other thing that I didn't know, I of course was born and raised in Culver City, and I didn't know that you were from Culver City, so that I learned something I didn't know. We have to talk about that sometime. But congratulations and job well done.
Thank you, Supervisor. We're going to go to Supervisor Parker next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Senator Monning, for being here today so that we can say some words of appreciation to you. Really, you have, your life has been about public service. And one of the things that I appreciate particularly is your courage, the fact that you weren't afraid to step up and advocate for causes that maybe were not even visible to many other people, and probably most certainly were considered to be too difficult, too overwhelming, impossible, and you stepped in and started doing the work to advocate for and bring about an improved quality of life and the opportunities for people to be treated with dignity and respect from the cradle to the grave. And so I also want to thank you. Many of your involvements have been mentioned, but I really think the Positions for Prevention of Nuclear War is a big one. That was definitely a cause that still many people think can never be resolved. And then your commitment to conflict management, your advocacy for safe drinking water, your work on trying to get some truth in advertising about sugary beverages, and of course your work with the farm workers. The list is endless. So I particularly appreciate your approach to see things through a health lens. And there I see not only your commitment to the well-being of people and the planet, but I also see the influence of your partner, Dr. Dana Kent. And I just know from experience how much we can learn from our partners. And I also know the richness of that mutual support. So congratulations on all of your life so far. I guess another thing I want to mention is your advocacy for people living with mental illness, as well as other physical illnesses, and really being there in such key, sometimes simple but difficult ways for your family member who has given you this insight into mental illness. So thank you for your compassion, for your advocacy, and I look forward to seeing you on the retirement paths and see what we can get up to. So take good care, and I'll see you around.
Sounds like a deadly combination of great things. All right, we're going to go to Supervisor Adams next.
No, that would be life-giving combination.
I agree. Yes.
My mistake.
Yeah, I can't think of a better duo, actually. It just empowers me. Bill, just thank you so much. There are so many words and so many things to say thank you for. I just remember sitting at a dinner party with you at Janice O'Brien's house, you and Dana, and you were just about to decide whether or not you even wanted to run for state office. And I remember asking you, why does a nice man like you want to go up and get involved in that quagmire? And you were really equivocating. And now, as I hear, and all of us have watched and heard, and all the things that you've accomplished during that time, it was the only place for you to go. Because if there was anyone that could bring any kind of resolution and solution to the problems that our state has faced during these past years, it's been you. And you leave a deep, deep legacy that all of us so admire and appreciate. The life that you and Dana and your children have done just is an absolute model for people throughout the state and throughout the country, and my hope is throughout the rest of the world. I just want to thank you so much as for the humility that you show, for the graciousness that you always provide, for the commitment, for the resolution. But most of all, I just want to thank you as being an absolute beacon for peace. You have always been there, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the changes that you've been able to make and the changes that I know you'll continue to make. So I look forward to hearing more about the escapades of the Jane and Bill books. And I know that there's a lot ahead for you, but my heart remains with you always, with you and Dana and the girls and your grandchildren. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Adams. Senator Monning, on the behalf of the residents of South County, I want to say thank you. I know that Senate districts are ugly, and there's no other way to put it. They're huge beasts in terms of the diversity across California that you have to represent. So somebody being able to represent both San Jose and San Lucas, that's a big deal. And to make sure that people within those communities felt heard, that means something. And I want to thank you on behalf of those little communities that we share at the far end of South County who had a senator who heard them, who responded to their needs. And we know that, just like Supervisor Parker, the road it isn't ending here. You're going to find other ways to get involved in this community, I think, whether you like it or not, because it's in your blood. And we look forward to seeing what else the next chapter brings for you, as we know it'll continue to have an incredible impact here in Monterey County and throughout California. So we thank you for your years of dedicated service, and we thank your family for their sacrifice of your time, for allowing you to do the work that we needed you to do. And so on behalf of my constituents, on behalf of all the residents of Monterey County, we congratulate you upon your retirement, and want to go ahead and open up the floor to you to share comments with us.
Well, thank you so much, Chair Lopez, and to all of the members of the board. I really appreciate the recognition, and with each of you, I've been able to forge, I think, a special relationship around issues affecting your supervisorial districts in our broader Central Coast, Central California region. I want to thank Supervisor Alejo for, in his opening comments, and others recognizing the work of my wife, Dr. Dana Kent. As you know, we met working in the United Farm Workers Union. She got her nursing degree at Hartnell College and worked for Monterey County ever since, with a 4-year interlude at Harvard Medical School, came back and did her residency training at Natividad and worked for Monterey County ever since. So it's definitely been a team effort, and my advocacy in the arena of public health has always been informed by Dana's work and my close proximity through her to health challenges and health opportunities in Monterey County. I want to turn it back a little bit on all of you on the board for your support of Natividad Medical Center and the County Health Network, achieving health coverage for immigrant workers who didn't qualify for Medi-Cal or other programs. I salute all of you for landing that and for your continued management through COVID-19. You know, Luis, in reading the resolution, cited many shared legislative victories, many of those that were cited and also alluded to by Supervisor Phillips with the Castroville interchange. That was with the support of the Monterey County Board of Supervisors and your voice in Sacramento, which helped me to move that one bill in particular. Everything had been put on hold because of COVID, and we were only being authorized to move bills that were directly COVID related. We were able to make the public safety argument with the support of the Board of Supervisors to move forward on the 156 exchange and in framing that for what it is, a public health emergency to save human lives. I think for me, the takeaways will certainly be where we were successful in legislation and budget efforts, but probably the toughest work was the many natural disasters impacting our district, from fires, floods, a tsunami, the loss of the Pfeiffer Bridge in Big Sur, and just really rolling up our sleeves and working with bureaucracies to get exceptions to rules that didn't allow us to do what we wanted to do. And certainly we faced that with the Central Coast Veterans Cemetery. Again, the support of all of you and the Board of Supervisors. We're part of a broader team, a mosaic of starting with the veterans who fought for decades, literally, for that final resting place, and then our work at the state level, the federal level, to get that work done. But none of it would have been possible without the support of the Board of Supes. And while I know that your board divides and splits votes on some issues, you've always stood united when it's come to bringing support to Monterey County writ large, whether it was the Veterans Cemetery, replacement of the bridge, mobilizing health support for farm workers. There are certain issues that are common to all of us. And while we take tough stands on issues that sometimes divide us. The connective tissue is the foundation of what unites us. And I see this board as being exemplary in first and foremost advancing the interests of the people of Monterey County. So I appreciate this opportunity to be on your agenda this morning. And as several of you have commented, I used to say there's still gas in the tank, but I think that's not appropriate now with climate action and climate change. So there's still energy in the battery is, I think, the new term of art to use. And I don't know what pathways will open up, but I do look forward to sorting through some boxes and a little consolidation on the home front, and then looking forward to opportunities to work with you to stay based here in the home that we love in Monterey County. And so I do look forward to future collaboration and friendship with all of you, and we'll continue to carry this great love for Monterey County that we all share as well. So thank you, sisters and brothers and members of the board. I really appreciate this, and I share Dana's appreciation as well for your recognition of her work on behalf of the people of Monterey County. So thank you all. Love you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Senator. All right. With that, we're going to head into our next item, which is item 5 on our agenda, which is to consider the matter of an amendment, number 4, to the subdivision improvement agreement for the York Highlands re-subdivision for an extension of 24 months. And that is a presentation from Randy Ishii, the Chief of Public Works, Facilities, and Parks, and Michael Getz, our Chief of Surveys. Mr. Getz.
Good morning, Chair Lopez and members of the board. So this matter was continued from last week's meeting regarding this request for an extension of the subdivision improvement agreement for York Highlands. It was originally approved back in May of 2012. It's been extended 3 times, and it was a timely request was to extend it for another 24 months, but in view of the time it's taken to process this to get it before your board, it's currently written to extend the agreement until December 22nd, 2022. So this slide just shows in yellow the extent of the York Highlands re-subdivision that is affected by this agreement. The areas in gray and green represent the lots that are under the county-held deed of trust, which is meant to secure the improvements, the construction of the improvements. The ones in green are the 3 lots that the county holds a deed of trust in first place. So due to the complexities of this item, staff is looking to the board's direction on how to proceed on this matter, and so we're looking for a decision on whether to proceed with you or how you will decide on this amendment extension.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. So I'll bring it back to the board, see if we have any additional questions from board members at this point. Seeing no hands going up, I'll turn to the public, see if we have any public comment. I see one hand up from somebody by the name of Mike. Mike, we're going to give you the ability to unmute yourself. You have 2 minutes to share a public comment with this board. Mike, you with us? You should now be able to unmute yourself. Mike, if you hold down the space bar on your computer, that should give you the ability to talk, but you've got to hold it while you talk.
Okay, can you hear me now, Chair Lopez?
We can.
Okay, thank you so much. I sent the board members an email earlier this week. It's very short. I sent a map of the York Highlands entitled Trail Easements and pointed out that the grading being done on the property is preparing legal lots of record. Legal lots should not be graded without assurance that the public trail easements are honored. The board can do this by incorporating the mandate of the irrevocable offer into the extension or words to the effect. I got that addendum this morning at 8:19 a.m. and I'm studying it, and I don't see the trail going down to Highway 68, and I don't see the trails pointed out on this map. I'd like to see an acknowledgement that the trails are going to be abided by and that paid attention to as the grading for roads and lots continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. See no additional hands up. I'm going to close public comment, bring it back to the board. I see a hand up from Supervisor Phillips.
Yeah, we've discussed this several times, but I'm not prepared at this time to support the subdivision improvement agreement extension. But I think there may be some things that we can still talk about. So I would move that we continue the matter and keep exploring alternatives and maybe continue to the second week of in January to the 12th. That would be my motion.
I'll second.
Okay. I've got a motion and a second, but I see a hand up from Supervisor Parker. So before I call the vote, Supervisor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wonder if staff could respond to the public commenter. I can imagine that the maps or the agreement might not talk about the trails, but how does the public have assurance that the trail easements will be honored? And then I actually have a comment as well, but I'd like to hear that.
Mr. Getz, would you be able to help us with that answer?
Partially. There were original conditions regarding this associated with the development. They were parks-related conditions, which is not my area of expertise. Perhaps Mr. Ishii can comment on that as well. There was an irrevocable offer of dedication for the trails. It's my understanding that it was based on the text of the document that it is an offer to be accepted at some point in the future, and I don't think we've come to that point yet. I don't know the particulars on the trails extensively.
I'm going to go to council for that as well.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members of the board. I believe that some of the irrevocable offers have been accepted, not all. And when the offers are accepted, that creates an obligation to improve. So I think staff needs to go back. We need to go back and take a look at the entirety of the Montera and York Highlands trail situation and see what has been accepted and what has not been accepted.
Thank you. And I think clearly there's interest, and it is a public interest in trails. So if it's possible to create a map or some sort of document on Excel that's possible for the public to access and keep track of what's going on with the trails, I think that would be helpful. As we know, sometimes these things happen and then a staff person changes and, it can get lost in the shuffle. So if it's something that the public can keep track of, if they have an interest, it helps to keep us focused. So thank you for that commitment to go back and make sure we know where we are on the trails. And then on the motion, I'm kind of torn. I do feel that the county, the arrangement that we got into, having these deeds of trust as security was highly unusual. I hope it never happens again. It's created just confusion and complication, and has got sort of in the middle of stuff where I don't think really belong. And so my interest in this case is for the county to stay outside of the disputes that are going on. As much as we care about our local folks being paid for the work they've done, the millions of dollars of work that the contractor has done have largely been paid for. It's a residual amount. Granted, it's a significant amount of money, but the dispute is not ours. And I just think that approving the extension and allowing the parties to proceed with the development as market conditions allow is the best strategy for us. Trying to have conversations and insert ourselves in the middle of things even further or again, I think is not desirable. It's risky, and it could put us in a position of potentially betraying the public trust. I just feel like it's really risky. So I'm as I say, I'm torn about this, but I think for me, the most prudent policy is to approve the agreement and allow the parties to move forward. So I'm not going to be able to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to council who wanted to share some words
Thank
as
you,
well.
Chair. With respect to the map issue, I want to acknowledge Mr. Weaver. That was Mike Weaver, I believe, who made the public comment. Mr. Weaver, working with a colleague of his, has actually done a lot of work to address the issues of the maps, and he's provided some information to me that I need to share with staff, and we will confirm where the location of the trails are and try to make that available to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, council. With that, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Lejo?
Aye.
Supervisor Phillips?
Aye.
Supervisor Parker?
No.
Supervisor Adams?
So all we're doing is the extension, correct? That does
It's a
not mean,
continuance, not an extension. Just legal language here.
okay. And that will allow us to bring it back for further discussion, which would not remove the ideas that Jane Parker brought forward as far as ensuring the county keeps its distance.
Council is nodding.
Nodding yes?
That is correct, yes. This just puts the matter over as it currently is to January 12th, and we'll come back, and the option will still be there for the board to renew the subdivision improvement agreement and extend it.
Okay, then I will accept it. Yes, I'll vote aye.
Thank you. And Chair Supervisor Lopez?
Aye, the motion carries. Thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to recess the Board of Supervisors for just a moment and call to order the Board of Supervisors of the Monterey County Water Resource Agency.
Point of order. It's
10:30.
not
I
10:30
apologize,
yet.
timing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've got about 8 minutes left. So we're going to take an 8-minute break and come back. We'll see you all at 10:30.
Jane's on it.
Next week I sleep.
Ditto. Water management didn't end until 9:30 last night.
Wow.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, I got kicked out for some reason, so I had to leave my I don't know if my internet went down or if it's I don't know what happened, but
Okay,
and
Julian's ready.
now it says that the
Julian-
meeting will resume shortly. Are you guys on a break?
Yes, we took a quick break.
Okay. Did that happen to you guys too, or was it just me?
I'm still in. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Okay, that's fine. Everything looks good.
And Julian's making sure you're back in.
Okay, thank you so much.
No,
Yeah,
thank
it was
you for
just
asking.
like a minute. I don't know what happened. There was a disconnection on my
but no, I appreciate you checking in, because then if we don't know you're on, we would assume that you're on. So thank you. Okay.
All right, we're at 10:30. I'm going to call to order the Board of Supervisors of the Monterey County Water Resource Agency. Let the record reflect that all members of the board are present, either in room or via Zoom. Are there any additions or corrections to this agenda, Madam Clerk?
There are no additions and corrections.
Thank you. This agenda has a general public comment, an opportunity for the public to share comments regarding items not on today's agenda. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to make a public comment to the Monterey County Water Resource, the Board of Supervisors of the Monterey County Water Resource Agency? Seeing no hands up, I'll close public comment. We have one appointment on the agenda today. I'll open it up for public comment, see if we have any public comment on the appointment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back, and as it's my appointment, I'd like to make the motion to appoint Marvin Borzini.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Alejo?
Aye.
Supervisor Phillips?
Aye.
Supervisor Parker?
Aye.
Supervisor Adams?
Aye.
And Chair Supervisor Lopez.
Aye, the motion carries. With that, we'll adjourn the Board of Supervisors of the Monterey recess. The Board of Supervisors of the Monterey County Water Resource Agency, and go ahead and reconvene the Monterey County Board of Supervisors. I only did it in that order to give us the opportunity to adjourn the meeting in memory of Andy Matsui. And at this point, I'd love to open it up. I know I had several requests from members of this board to add this adjourn in memory of, and so I want to give other supervisors the opportunity to share their thoughts first. Is there any supervisors who wish to speak at this point? Supervisor Adams, old school hand up.
Thank you. Thanks. I was saddened, but, love reading again about Andy Matsui's life. I knew him because we were members of the Salinas Rotary Club, and he was just such a beacon. He continued to just really, I think, just not just touch the hearts of those of us who had the opportunity to get to know him through Rotary, but the legacy that he leaves for the ethical approach that he had to how to ensure that people behind him could go on and succeed. His foundation, the work that he and his wife and his children have done as far as ensuring children have an opportunity to get ahead by going to college, has just been phenomenal. He was always just a charmer, and had a twinkle in his eye that was just delightful. I'm happy to say that he was one of my constituents, and I always had just greatest respect for him and everything that he stood for. So I'm sure that he will go on someplace else to provide more beautiful orchids everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'm going to go to Supervisor Phillips next.
Yes, I knew Andy for a long time, and he was made great contributions to our county, and especially our young people, our disadvantaged young people, and encouraging their education. I don't know of anybody who had a stronger work ethic than Andy did, and just everything he's done in the educational for to better the lives of those who didn't have the opportunities that he had. And his opportunities came from the hard work. So what he's done and his institution has done, especially at Hartnell and the university, is commendable. He'll be a man missed for a long time. Thank you,
Supervisor Phillips. We're going to go to Supervisor Alejo next.
Well, I just wanted to, first of all, extend my condolences to all the Matsui family, all the children and grandchildren. I think they should feel very proud of a lifetime of accomplishments and leadership by Mr. Andy Matsui, somebody who was not only overcame a lot of odds in his own personal life to be one of the most successful flower growers in the nation. Orchids are my favorite flower, and always highlighted them in Sacramento when I do event highlighting the many products grown in my assembly district up in Sacramento. Many times those Matsui flowers were featured up there among the legislators. But I did want to just also thank him for also always thinking deeply and profoundly of our youth and investing millions of dollars in scholarships and grants to places like Hartnell College. really opened opportunities and allowed so many of our young people to realize their college dreams and aspirations. So when I think of that, talk about a legacy left, an investment in our youth, thinking beyond oneself, and giving back, always giving back to one's community. That's the story of Andy Matsui. So I just wanted to show my respect and take off my hat to somebody who I admire and respect, and I think someone who I think inspired a lot of young people. And posting his obituary, a lot of people, even farm workers and Spanish speaking workers, they also expressed their gratitude and said what a good boss, what a good man he was throughout his life. And that those words coming from longtime workers really showed the respect and love that even his employees had for him. So with that, Mr. Chair, thank you for bringing this forward. And again, I think all Monterey County is saddened to lose a great pillar in our community like Andy Matsui. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really want to echo the remarks that have already been made. I didn't know Mr. Matsui personally, but I am aware of his work. And all I can say is that he was a class act. We've really, the flowers are beautiful. The way he found ways to support youth, that was beautiful. And the way he treated his workforce, it's beyond anything that I have encountered with another employer. And I just want to express my appreciation for his life. And, you know, that class act is being carried on by his family members. And I really appreciate that. It's a sad day to see him go. And his a lot of his integrity and the framework for treating people well is being carried on by his family. And for that, I'm just incredibly grateful. And I'm glad we're doing this so that we as a board can express our condolences and appreciation to the family. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor. I just wanted to share, growing up in the Salinas Valley, we didn't have, when I was in high school, the Millennium Scholars. We didn't have the Koch Scholars and all these scholarship programs that are considered prestigious now. We had the Matsui Scholarship. That was the one that the top student at every school got, and it was 100%. You got covered. And it was not just based on your academics, but it was based on need as well. It was one of the first that really took into account the full picture of what was happening in a family's life to give opportunity to make a difference in your life. And I got to meet Andy a couple times, and every time I think I left with an orchid in my hand and a giant smile on my face. You know, every time I got to visit their place of business there on Old Stage Road. And you know, as I look back on his life from the Nara Prefecture in Japan, where he was born, to all of the differences that he made here in the Salinas Valley for countless lives, including the lives of many county employees who've come up to me in the last few days and wanted to let me know that he'd passed and share a personal story about how a family member worked for them and what a great place it was to work for them, or the pride in the fact that somebody bought a dog from Mr. Matsui, and it was the best dog they ever owned, and they knew it because it was a Matsui dog. And, it's just the pride point that Mr. Matsui left behind. It continues, and I think that's a key message for all of us to hone in on, is that we can make a difference every single day, and those little moments of joy tied together are what makes life worth living. And, I look at Teresa and the changes that she's continuing to push in our community. This last Mother's Day, she joined me in Pajaro in Supervisor Phillips's district to pass out over 1,000 orchids to mothers just ahead of Mother's Day. And her crew was the happiest crew I'd ever seen. And they proudly wore shirts that said Matsui, face masks that said Matsui. It's still a name and will always be a name here in the Salinas Valley that means greatness and also respect. And so as we honor the life of Andy and the changes and the wonderful growth that he brought to the Salinas Valley and allowed us to be part of his family's success, we send our condolences to the family. We know that the legacy continues, and we thank them for sharing his time with us and their success with us taking root here in the Salinas Valley. And so with that, the adjournment won't technically happen until after we recess, or after we adjourn from closed session, but I'm going to turn to County Council, who will share that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, members of the board. Yes, both boards, the county and the agency, will recess into closed session. We will adjourn out of closed session, and there will be no reportable action.
So with that, we are recessed to closed session, but we will adjourn at the end of the day in memory of Andy. Thank you.